no going back now.
Good morning, everybody. This is Sergeant First Class Comeric, and you are at our Facebook Live Q&A session. We do this monthly for Army Recruiting Ohio, and this specific session is going to be about women, our experiences in the military, because we know a lot of you have specific questions. They've opened up all MOSs now, jobs to females. So having said that, we welcome all of your questions. Nothing is taboo, so let us know. And again, to my right, we have Major Perkins.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, team, for having me here for this Q&A. It's a privilege to be part of this event. I am actually the officer in charge of the Columbus Medical Recruiting Station. Have been in the military for quite some time, so I'll be glad to fill any questions regarding our service.
Good morning, all. Captain Megan Grosnick. I work here at the Columbus Recruiting Battalion as the operations officer. I started off my career in 2004 in the reserves, and I commissioned in 2011, so I'm now a commissioned officer.
Good morning, everyone. I am Staff Sergeant Smith Daniels. I'm part of the VRT. I started with the Army Reserve. I am now active duty, and I am a recruiter up here with the team. We welcome all of your questions.
I think it's interesting that I think all of us, did you start out in the reserves, ma'am?
I am actually a reserve soldier.
What's unique about every single, I did not know this until this very moment, is that all of us actually started out in the reserve. I started out in the Army Reserve as well in 2003. Holy, it's been quite a bit. Originally enlisted out of Cleveland, Ohio, and stationed in Akron, Ohio at a unit there. Went on a couple deployments with the reserves, and once I went on those deployments, I decided this is the life for me. So that's what kind of brought me around to active duty today. So what brought you into the recruiting world, and how did you get to where you are today?
Okay, so I actually enlisted in the Army National Guard in the state of Florida a long time ago, and then enrolled in ROTC. And so I was enlisted, and I obtained my commission via the ROTC program at the University of South Florida. So if I count all the years, including enlisted, I've been in the Army for about 15 years. And it's been an amazing journey. Why am I here? Why am I in recruiting? So I am an AGR soldier, so I am reserve. I belong to the reserve component, and I am on active duty orders, and I can do this for 20 years, supporting the reserve as a medical service corps officer. Currently, I'm on a recruiting detail, so 2.5 years now as recruiting in Central Ohio, and we are looking for medical professionals. So yeah, that's how I got here.
That's awesome. That's a good story. How about you, Captain Grossman?
So I started off in the reserves in 2004. I enlisted into aviation. While I was deployed in Iraq, a lot of my pilots told me I should look into maybe being an officer. So when I returned home, I knew about our ROTC program in our college. So I looked a little bit more into it and found out that I could actually drop my reserve contract, pick up a ROTC contract, and then commission, depending on how my path worked out, either commission into the reserves or commission to active duty. I then commissioned in 2011 into the Adjutant General Corps, which is human resources. And how I ended up here in recruiting, although I'm not a recruiter, I'm not actually doing any of that kind of work, I support the recruiters. So the reason I ended up here is because I wanted something different. I've only ever done Battalion S1, which is human resources. So I've only ever done that, and I wanted something different, kind of get me out of my rotation. So I came here, and now I'm in this position, working operations, supporting all the recruiters out there, and planning stuff.
That's good. Sergeant SD.
Hello. So I joined the Army Reserve back in 2000 when I was 17. I joined when I was in high school, and I wanted to serve my country. So I left the reserve and I went active duty in 2007 because I wanted to make more money for my family and wasn't ready for college then. So I wanted to come active duty and start going to college then. So recruiting called, and I came down on recruiting orders when I was at Fort Eustis, Virginia. and they told me that I had to come to Ohio. So I'm here in Ohio being a recruiter here, and my job other than recruiting is information technology tech. So I work on computers and printers for the Army besides recruiting.
So you said you weren't ready for college at that time,
I wasn't.
but I know you are now because
I am now.
So, but how did the reserve and the Army help you transition from that not being ready to college, not being able to maybe, because I know I had a tough situation with my family, I couldn't afford it.
Right.
So how did that help you?
Discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was younger, school was fun. You know, I had honors and everything, but I wasn't ready because I didn't want to get up in the morning. Army makes you get up in the morning. They make you make your bed. They make you clean up. They make you do everything that a normal person wouldn't want to do all the time, and making you be on time. And for colleges, you have to be prompt, and you have to get your classwork done. So I feel like if I wouldn't have joined when I was a teenager, I wouldn't have been prepared for college now. And then the college money. I have money for college right now because the Army gives me tuition assistance. So I don't have any bills from college. I got my associate's degree and I'm working on my bachelor's debt-free. That's the best part about it for me.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really do appreciate about being able to serve my country is that the benefits drastically outweigh anything that I've ever experienced. I would never have been able to afford a 4-year degree without. I actually joined the Army after obtaining my bachelor's degree. I had an option to become an officer or to go enlisted. So those are actually our two different sides of the house, really. But because I wanted to experience, I just moving up through those ranks, because my goal was actually to be a first sergeant, I chose enlisted. But in choosing enlisted, they also gave me over $30,000 to pay off my student loans, which was such a relief because that was really detrimental to my family to have all that student loan debt. But after that, I was also able to use tuition assistance and go back and get my master's degree. And now I'm still continuing my education, completing my first year of law school. So if you're ever wondering how you can combine your active, work life, everybody works, most people work full time with a family and school. If you're ever wondering how you can do that, I felt like the Army Reserve was a perfect fit for me. So that's why I was able to do that. And then, so how did that benefit you, ma'am?
So it's amazing the opportunities that we have in the Army. When you first enlist, sometimes you might not know about all the opportunities. I learned about the ROTC program by chance. I was actually going back to school, and I was at the campus looking for my advisor, and I was walking the hallway looking for the advisor, and I actually walked by the ROTC office, so the recruiting officer there, and he came out. He saw I was like a little lost, right? So he's like, "Hey, can I help you?" And we started talking, and that's how I learned about ROTC.
Okay.
Right? So being that I was in the National Guard in the state of Florida, as with many other states, the Guard pays your tuition 100%, right? So that was the motivation for me. One of the motivations for me to join was because I wanted to get my education. Coming from a very modest background, right? Modest family. My parents could not afford to pay for my education. So the Army provided that opportunity. And then when I learned that I could not just go to school and get a degree, but I could also become an officer in the Army, right? That opened up my eyes to so many other opportunities. And so I made the decision, and I enrolled in the ROTC program, and I was what we call a simultaneous membership cadet. So I was able to serve in the National Guard at the same time that I was completing my undergrad. And this was amazing because you are getting your education and you are getting experience also in uniform as you progress through the program. And there are different stages that people can come in. This message is also for folks who are already in the service that might not know about the opportunities they may have through ROTC. Like myself, I didn't know, until I actually walk through those hallways.
Exactly.
And so the opportunities that the Army affords folks who, volunteer, raise the right hand and say, I want to volunteer, I want to join, are amazing. They are not things that we usually advertise. Actually, we should do a better job at that, but, we're working on it. Many opportunities that actually we cannot even scratch the surface. As a medical service corps officer and as a recruiter in the medical service corps, if someone goes through and is able to obtain their undergrad, there are so many other programs that we actually fund 100% for people who have dreams, right? It's all about, having goals and if you don't know of a vehicle or you already don't have a vehicle to get to that point, we are here to give you that information.
So let's acknowledge some of our viewers. We have Kyle on.
So we have Kyle on right now
We have Dylan. I think that's how you pronounce it.
and Dylan. So please forgive me if we mispronounce your name, Dylan. Thank you for tuning in.
Tuning in from Kentucky.
TJ from Kentucky, welcome.
And TC.
Go Wildcats.
TC's on.
TC, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and field them. We're here to answer anything about not only what your qualms may be, but our experiences as well. As you can see, we've all been in the service, whether it be Army Reserve, for I think over 10 years, every single one of us. So, and we've all moved through the ranks, as you can see. So I personally have never, I get a lot of questions. For instance, I was at Bishop Watterson. So if anybody out there is from Bishop Watterson, hello, and thank you so much for your hospitality. A few weeks ago, and I was able to speak to them on Veterans Day, actually. And a lot of the questions I get is, how are you treated different as a female, this and that. I honestly I can't say that I personally have ever been treated any differently or any standard has been changed because of my gender. I don't feel that I have. Can you talk about your experiences in that way?
So I'll start. So initially, I really didn't have any kind of differences. I was treated just like everybody else. When I did deploy, I was an individual augmentee, which meant I was one of the only people from my unit that deployed, and I supplemented another unit. So they were short on personnel. They said, hey, Private Grosnick, Specialist Grosnick, you're going to deploy. This is where you're going. This is the unit you're going to. So I deployed. Obviously, we had people from all across the country. I had some reserve. I was working with some reservists as well as some active duty. I got pinged to work night shift with another reservist. He happened to be a male, and for some reason, he just didn't take a liking to females being in the military. He told me being a female, I wasn't going to make it. I wasn't going to amount to anything in the military. I was going to be stuck as a specialist for my whole career. And I made it my mission to prove him wrong. So I was a specialist then. I'm a captain now. I'm going to continue my career path, get as far up as I can, hopefully make major here the next couple years, and lieutenant colonel after that. So that, I mean, other than that, that one experience, that kind of helped me grow and kind of grow a tougher skin. But I mean, no matter what job you have, even in the civilian world, you're gonna get those naysayers that say, you're a female, you're white, you're Hispanic, you're never gonna amount to this because of X, Y, or Z. So I just took that personally for me, and I just wanted to prove that person wrong. So other than that, I mean, obviously now that we're allowing females into other branches like infantry and stuff, you're going to have some of those older guys that are used to only having males, so they're kind of having to work through getting used to having females around, used to working with females. Obviously, we do have some things that we're allowed to do that males aren't allowed to do, such as having our hair in buns, which means certain equipment we have to not necessarily make fit us. So like when I wear a Kevlar and my bun is pushing the Kevlar forward, I have to adjust how I wear it to where it actually fits me properly. So just like small things like that we have to fix, but I only had one really negative run-in, and that was with that one individual while I was deployed.
Have you reconnected with that individual out of curiosity?
I have not. I don't like to surround myself with people like that.
Right.
So I had to try not to. But I have followed up with him because I keep tabs on some people I deployed with. And he's I think changed his kind of mindset and his way of life. But it was a very trying time, because I was 21 at that time,
Right.
and he was late 20s, early 30s. So I was expecting more from somebody who was older than me, and then kind of irritated me because they promoted him, or they laterally appointed him to corporal over there also. So, and it irritated me even more because I actually knew my job better than him. So it was just and I mean, you're away from your family, you're away from your friends. It was just a tough time overall. But from what I've seen of him, he's kind of turned his life around more, and he's not so against females in the military and working with females. So
Sometimes I hear that even in when I was a civilian, you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do that. I honestly don't know if it was because of my gender, my race, or it was because of them. But I like to reconnect with some of those individuals to show them where I'm at today, and show them that yes, I did get an education. I am where I am, and I'm very successful and so happy in my life. But I'm happy because I chose the Army. I don't think I would, like I said, having spent over 13 years in civil service. I was actually a parole officer and an investigator before I became full-time Army, and I don't think I'd be where I was today. Don't get me wrong, I love that service, and I actually still communicate and hang out with some people that I worked with in my civilian life. But to me, the Army, they're my family. So, what about you, Esty?
Everywhere you go, whether it's civilian sector, whether it's Army sector, you'll have someone who'll say something to you. But all you do is you hold your head up and you let them know, hey, I'm going to do what I have to do for me. So you're not here for anyone else, you're here for your family. And that's what you have to do. So most of the time, I'm sure I'm not the only one when it comes to sports. I used to play sports when I was younger, and you only run that fast because you're a girl and your times are different. So when it comes to our APFT, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So the majority of the time, that's the stuff that I have to face. So it would make me run harder. It would make me do more push-ups. It would make me do more sit-ups. So that was the thing that I would come across the majority of the time.
I'd actually like to thank those people who
Thank you.
always said. So yeah, I just didn't know if it was because of who I was, but I would get that a lot too. I know you can tell by my girlish figure, but I do run a lot. I was actually a part of the Army 10-miler team, and I remember when I was trying out, I just got the looks like, no one really said anything. But you know how when people look at you, you know what they're thinking? I'm like, no, I'm going to win this. So sure enough, actually my first Army 10-miler I ran, I took 14th overall. So I consider that to be pretty good.
It is.
And then we do get those. Well, you could just do more push-ups because your arms are shorter. Really? No, I did more push-ups than you because I'm stronger. So that's pretty much how that works out. But life, as is life, anything, it's what you put into it, what you get out of it. And I put forth 100% in what I do, but they also make you. And that's another thing that I really enjoy and like about this lifestyle is that if you are stagnant, you're not going to progress. Whereas I know in some places, hey, if you spend this much time in this position, you'll become a manager, or, oh, if you know the manager, you'll get promoted. Not in the Army. You have to complete school. You have to use your tuition assistance. You have to have college credits. Because if you go and you put in for a promotion and that board sees that you don't have your college credits and you're not using your tuition assistance, or you're not showing that you want to progress, you're not going to progress and you're not going to be allowed to stay. So that's really one thing that I do appreciate about the Army is that they want you to utilize all of the benefits that they have.
Some questions.
So we got some questions on the board here, so
So
we'll
we got
address.
a few more viewers on, so welcome them first of all.
We'll welcome anybody else who's joined us in the last few minutes. Again, my name is Sergeant K.
Major Perkins.
Captain Gross and Captain G.
I'm Staff Sergeant Smith Daniels.
So we have Dallin that's been on for a while, and he's a graduate student from Ghana. He said, does he need to be a U.S. citizen to apply for the Army?
Would you like to address that, or you don't necessarily need to be a U.S. citizen. However, you do have to have your I-551 card. The waiting period for I-551 card holders is a little bit longer than someone who is a natural-born citizen or born in the U.S. or currently has their citizenship. but that's not going to prevent you from getting in. So I recommend the first thing that you do is contact your local recruiting office or visit goarmyohio.com, and you can look up to see where your local recruiting office is and talk to a recruiter face to face so you can get all the information that you need.
And Jeremiah asked, how is the Army different from the National Guard?
Jeremiah, the Army is different from the National Guard. I think, well, in my experience in the Army, and then we'll let you touch on the National Guard since you have the experience there. To be honest with you, they're very, very similar. However, the National Guard is specifically state-based. So if you want to get promoted, you're going to have to wait till that position is open in that state. Whereas the Army Reserve, not only are we nationwide, we also have units available in Italy and in Germany. We do have reserve units overseas, whereas the National Guard does not. The Army Reserve is federally funded, whereas National Guards are state funded. We provide mostly the same benefits. Your tuition is going to be 100% covered either way. However, I benefited from the reserve in that I obviously joined here in Ohio. However, when I got married and moved to Texas, I was easily able to transfer from one unit to another in the reserve. No problems. It was just a matter of one piece of paper getting produced. However, in the National Guard, if you are in the National Guard, let's say in Ohio, and you want to move to Texas, well, the Ohio National Guard isn't in Texas. So that's mostly the differences. Do you have any insight on that, ma'am?
My experience is, what I like to say is that we are one Army. You can serve in different components inside of the Army. So the National Guard, from the reserves or the active duty Army, we do the same jobs. We have the same source of jobs. As the sergeant here explained, when you are in the National Guard, you actually are serving within the boundaries of that state. When you belong to a reserve unit, you actually have the flexibility to serve anywhere in the country. Benefits, very similar. So not too much difference other than the boundaries of the state.
Okay, so he continued on with this question. He said, thanks for answering that. He wants to know.
So if anybody
if
wants
he
to know, we
joins-
just want to let you know that Sergeant Wicker is our right-hand man, and he's throwing us your questions from the side. So
He wants to know if when he joins, does he need to get married for his girlfriend and his 6-month-old son to take advantage of the benefits, and also would they be able to move with him wherever he goes?
if
Two-part question.
what's his name again?
Would they be able to move? Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, thank you. That's a good question. The first question is, do you need to get married for your girlfriend and your child to have the benefits? First of all, don't rush into a marriage. However, in order for them to be beneficiaries and receive the insurance and housing allowance if you're active duty, yes, you would have to be married and they would have to be enrolled into the system. However, as a reservist as well, you are still eligible for TRICARE, but you would have to be married and in order for your spouse to experience the benefits. Your child, however, all you need is their birth certificate. Make sure that, of course, your name is on the birth certificate. You can enroll them in DEERS, so your child can experience the benefits if you choose not to get married. If that didn't answer your question adequately, hit us back up and let us
And
know.
I think the other part was them moving along with
Oh,
him.
okay, I'm
Right.
sorry.
Yeah, what do
Yes.
you think about that?
So I will say, in my experience, because I met my husband, we were engaged while I was in Germany. So he was able to. So it's obviously me dependent on if you're stateside. So obviously stateside, if you're not married, they're not going to pay for your family for your girlfriend to move with you. If you are married, they will pay for them to move with you. Excuse me. But if, let's say, you move from Ohio to Georgia, and your girlfriend wants to follow you down to Georgia, that'd be on her own dime. She'd have to pay for that herself, but she could live down there with you. Now, when you start getting to other countries, like when I was in Germany, my fiance was back here in the States. If you even go into Germany, there's only a certain period of time you could stay in country without having being what they call command sponsored. So we had to get married in order for my husband to stay in Germany with me the entirety of my tour. So I was there for 2.5, 3 years. And he was able, he was able to come over for 90 days at a time. They had to come back to the States for 90 days and then fly back over for 90 days. And unfortunately, because he wasn't my spouse, he couldn't take part in the Space A program, which is when you can fly essentially wherever the Army flies, you can fly there at a severely discounted rate. I think it's less than like $50 a person, as they have openings. But he couldn't take part in that because he wasn't a spouse. He was just a fiance. So I hope that answers that part of that question.
That's an excellent question.
So while we're on the subject of family, how is it being mothers, soon to be mothers in the Army? How do y'all feel about that?
I can take that question. So I have been in the Army, as I said, for better part of 15 years. I am the mother of a 21-year-old and a 12-year-old, both of whom have actually, grown up most of their lives being military dependents. It's been amazing. I think that it's a great thing to know that you can have a family, raise a family, and still be successful as a professional in the Army. And that's part of work balance, right? Balancing your life, being able to do everything you want to do. So I have been through the stages of actually being pregnant, in uniform, doing training or not doing training, because during your pregnancy time, if you're a female and you're pregnant, you're limited as to what things you can do or you're allowed to do. And that's a great thing to know, I think, for people who are thinking about joining but are also thinking about having a family. If you're a female, please know that the Army, it's just like any other employment. If you want to think of it that way, we have maternity leave. We are allowed to take care of ourselves and take care of our families. And that's what's wonderful about being in the Army, that you can actually do this job, which is amazing, and at the same time, live a normal life.
And the unique thing about that too is not only do we have maternity leave, we have paternity leave as well. So if you're
Right.
a male out there and your spouse is in the service, you can get leave as well. So when I was stationed at Fort Hood, one of the things that I really appreciated is Fort Hood is the largest military installation in the United States. So when I was stationed there, I was there for over 10 years. They have daycare centers on post. They have education and schooling on post. They have a huge, one of the largest hospitals on post. It's right there. So I know that my child was well cared for, and at any time if I had an issue, my command was very supportive in having me take care of my child. So I really never experienced any qualms in that arena. But how are you feeling, Captain G? Because we know.
So, Captain G, that's me. I'm actually pregnant right now. About Monday, I'll be 28 weeks pregnant. Obviously, being out here in recruiting command, it's a little bit different than being in a traditional unit. We don't do a lot of things like going to the range and PMCSing vehicles. But it's for me, it's been it's flown by. But I feel like I'm blessed to be in the military being pregnant, because I don't have to worry about my insurance covering childbirth, how I'm gonna pay for childcare afterwards. So I have my spouse is a stay-at-home spouse, so I won't have to worry about childcare afterwards anyway. But we do get 12 weeks of paid maternity leave. So all your benefits you get while you're working, 100% of them remain while you're on maternity leave. Paternity leave, I believe, is 10 or 12 days now for spouses. I mean, I just read some, because I obviously look at a lot of forums because this is my first child. So just looking at how much people are having to pay when they give birth, and how much it costs as far as hospital stays, and heaven forbid a child needs to be in the NICU or needs specialized care. I'm lucky enough that the Army will cover all of that. And another piece of that is I do have a stepson. He lives with his mother, but my child will get to travel around a lot, and my stepson has been blessed enough to be able to be in Germany, Kansas, South Carolina. Everywhere we go, he at least visits there, and that's given him an opportunity to branch out from where he lives and experience a little part of the military life that he doesn't get every day, but it allows him to kind of experience different experiences. And I'm excited for my unborn child to experience stuff and him to experience more. And
I'm excited for baby.
Yes.
Baby G.
Wait. So,
Esty.
to touch on what everyone said, I have been able to let my family grow up in the military, and I have the privilege of being on recruiting duty right now, and I get to go to my children's sporting events. And with the sporting events, it's the best part about that is once I get off of work, I can go see my children play sports. And being in a regular unit, by the time I get off of work, sometimes the events are over. So that's the best part about being on the recruiting duty. But Captain G was talking about when your children may have to be in the hospital. The Army provides the best care that I have seen for my children. I've had children had to go to the hospital, and I wouldn't have been able to afford it if I wasn't in the Army. So I thank God for the Army taking care of my family.
And another thing I'd like to touch on with that is about the exceptional care. Is the Army has really recognized families who have children with special needs and has developed the EFMP, Exceptional Family Member Program. And what that does is if you, let's say you are a military service member, and whether you're male or female, and you have a son or daughter who has a special need of some sort, they will accommodate you and do their best to put you in an area that has specialists to address your child's needs. So again, with the exceptional care, I can't just go to any employer down the street and they say, oh, I'm so sorry, you have to take if I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and my child needs care at the Cleveland Clinic, my job isn't going to move me to Cleveland, to get care in Cleveland. However, the Army, like I said, they do their best and to try and to accommodate you and any exceptional family member that you may have to accommodate those needs. So that's one great step I think that they've definitely made in that arena. So again, if you have a family, we've all made it work. So one thing that I really think is it's kind of adorable. So one thing that my son and I like to do is we shoot competitively trap, skeet, and sporting clays. So sometimes I'll be at work and I'll go by and see him, or I'll go straight to coaching still in my uniform, and they're all kids and they range in age from, we have 8-year-olds all the way up to college age kids on the team. And usually the middle school, high schoolers are like, your mom's in the Army. It's really cute. So, but they all really, it's a good feedback. So some more of those questions coming up, Sergeant Wicker.
Yeah, so the segue, that's a nice segue, because one of the commonly asked questions is, do you get to maintain who you are while you're in the Army? Are we robots? Do we work 24/7 and things of that nature? So talk a little bit about, being able to stay true to yourself and the things that you like to do, and also representing as a female. Do you have to change your image because you're in the Army or anything like that, or can you be yourself outside of the uniform?
So I'll start. I love makeup. You can look at my face now and you can see that I have makeup on. My hair is curly. I have natural hair. Once I take off this uniform, I take my ponytail out and I shake my hair and I put purple lipstick on, I put black lipstick on, whatever color I'm wearing, I put that lipstick on. I listen to my music, I go to church, I go to sporting events. My kids are in wrestling, they're in track, they're in football. I go and I hang out with my children. I do whatever I want to do when I leave work. But at the same time, I'm still looking for someone who wants to join the Army. Because to me, if I'm helping the Army grow, I'm helping my country. And to me, that is the greatest feeling in the world. So I'm still being me because I'm all about helping someone get to the next level. And I'm all about my children. So to me, it's about family. The women that are sitting at this table, they're my family. When I leave and I go home to my household, that's my family. So I'm still being me. So yes, you get to be yourself.
I mean, I grew up as a free spirit. I went to Catholic school, so I couldn't be as a free spirit as I wanted to be. But I wanted purple hair. I wanted all sorts of piercings, lip piercings, tongue piercing. I mean, I wanted it all. But I obviously, being Catholic school, I couldn't. My parents weren't very fond of that either, so I couldn't do that. I kind of grew out of that phase, more in the phase of I don't really wear makeup. I very, very, very rarely wear makeup. And my hair is almost never down. It's either in a bun or a ponytail, just because I don't like to have my hair down. But other than that, I mean, my free spiritedness has left me. When I go home, I'm Megan. I'm not Captain G. I'm not Captain Grossnick. I'm not Ma'am. I'm Megan. To everyone around me, I'm just a regular person. Most of the people that I've met, so obviously being an officer, I move every 2 to 3 years. All the people I meet don't even know I'm a soldier until they ask me what I do, and I tell them that I'm a soldier of the United States Army. So people that see me, you could see me walking down the street, and you won't even know that I'm a soldier by looking at me or how. I mean, I maintain my. I am 31 years old, so I act a certain way as a 31-year-old. I don't walk around throwing. What's that?
That's debatable. No.
It really is. I mean, I don't walk around throwing around cuss words. I don't, there's just certain things I don't do just as a person. Not because I'm in the Army, just how I am as a person. But I feel like I maintain a certain level of professionalism even out of uniform, but it's not because I'm in the Army, it's just because of how I am as an individual.
Right.
I like to add to that. I live a what I call a completely normal life, whatever normal is, right? I'm part of the community, me and my family. Actually, I am a dual military couple, so what that means is that my husband is also in the military. He is full-time in uniform, just like I am. So we have a 12-year-old at home who is in middle school. We participate in his events. We are members of a church, a local church. That's very important to our family. And so we've been able to take mission trips overseas with our church. We're part of a community. We live life just like anyone else, and do whatever we want to do. As I said previously, this is a job. It's an employment with the tag of service to country, right? It's a commitment to our country. It's our commitment to each other, because as you heard Sergeant Esty say, this is my family. So this is one of the unique things about being in the military. If you want to, think about one of the distinct differences, which is actually a positive, is that this is our family. We're family. We're sisters and brothers, and wherever we see each other, we know that we have each other's backs, just like family does, right? So I go home, I am full-time committed to my family at home, but it is amazing, because that's one of the things that makes it different. You can still be yourself. In corporate America, I have worked in the civilian sector, and I can tell you that the groups that I worked in before, I didn't say, oh, this is a family. I feel like they are my family. Okay, so that's one of the positive things. I get to be myself. I get to adapt a new set of brothers and sisters every time we move. We move about, every 3 years. And so it's an amazing experience. But you are able to have a normal life, and travel overseas, do what you want to do, your interests, continue your education as you want to do.
That's interesting. I think that the Army has actually enhanced who I was a little bit. I was in the same situation. I grew up in South Linden, actually. So if anybody here in Columbus, Ohio knows where that area is. But I went to a Catholic school as well. So shout out to DeSales. If you're on there, log on, listen, go Stallions. I actually was suspended from school for a day, I admit it, because I shaved my hair. So the athletic director wasn't really happy with me because he didn't think that was a really good representation. However, it was just for a day, learned my lesson. But I think that the Army enhances who I am, because, like I said, I like to coach, I like to hunt. So I think I'm an anomaly in that respect. But I do know a lot of females that like to hunt. Like I said, I also like to shoot, trap, and ski, and I coach that sport as well. And I just think it's helped me become not only a better person in uniform and professionally, but a better person on the outside, because it actually gave me, I think, a little bit more discipline in that coaching arena. And with the mentors that I have had in the Army, they showed me the mentor that I realized that I need to be to the kids that I coach. Does that
Right.
make sense? Like, so I think it's definitely enhanced who I was still. Obviously, when we're in uniform, we have to confine to the confines of the uniform. You know, we have to wear our hair a certain way. We have to have natural on our nails, as you can see, but we can still have it, and we can still be feminine while serving and being professional. Because at the end of the day, you know, we're daughters, we're sisters, we're wives, we're aunts, but we're still disciplined. You know, we're still physically and mentally tough, but we're still moms, but we're still soldiers. So, and
Well, tell them how to find us, how to follow us, and close it out.
you can find us on Army Recruiting Ohio. You can Instagram us, Army Recruiting Ohio, and you can visit us at our GoArmyOhio.com. We want to thank everybody who joined us today and submitted your questions. If you have a question after we conclude this video, feel free to submit it on any of those. Any last words?
I'd like to say something, being that I am with medical recruiting. If you are interested in pursuing a medical education, whether it is medical school, pharmacy, social work, nursing, you name it, dentistry, optometry, if you're interested in any of those programs and you're curious about it, just go on to GoArmyHealth.com. And you'll find a recruiter near you, and we'll be happy to give you information. Your dreams are within your reach. It doesn't matter how expensive it seems. Okay, there is so many opportunities and so many avenues for you to accomplish your goals in life. So don't stop at the first no ever.
Exactly. Thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
Out here.
Got it?